Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live with independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator Teresa Harper. I'm located in Oregon in the United States. Thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate you taking time from your busy day to spend just a little bit with me. Let's go ahead and see who we have on. And I'll refresh my laptop screen. Wow, that was fast. That came up really fast tonight. Okay, there we go. And so then I can see your comments when you come on. If you're new to my channel, be sure to say hi and let us know where you're watching from. It's always nice to see where everybody is from around the world. And then we will get started here shortly. Yep, that picture looks pretty good there. All right. Let's wait a minute and jump on. I did get my May to August 2026 catalog pre-order in yesterday afternoon. And this is the brand new catalog that will be going live to customers on May 5th. And I'm not allowed to show you what's inside, but I can show you the covers. So there you go. And if you're one of my regular customers, your catalog is on the way. Okay. So just to let you know, there are some product price increases coming in this catalog. Most notably, envelopes are increasing significantly. Mini glue dots, Stampin' Dimensionals, a lot of your basic items are going up a little bit. I did do the math on the mini glue dots, and if you have some on hand, the amount that they're going up is 75 cents. So if you have some on hand, and you wait for a free shipping day, it would actually be less expensive for you to wait for a free shipping day, because you would pay, they're going up to $8, they're $7.25 now, and with free shipping at $8, of course they're going to be $8, but with shipping at $7.25, they're $8.05. So you make the decisions, and when you look at your price increases, make sure that you take that into account if it's something that you don't need right now. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I don't see any comments coming through, but I do see that there's 5 of you on, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to refresh my screen just in case. Oh, there it is. Hello, Cher. Hello, Tracy. Hello, Cynthia, and hello, Chris Cruz. How are you? Okay, I don't know why that wasn't showing the comments, but it wasn't. So tonight at 11 p.m. here in Oregon, in the Pacific time zone, the April product of the month is scheduled to go live, and you can get this Eyelet Blooms dies for $5 with a qualifying $75 purchase. Now that is after your Stampin' Rewards that you use or a coupon code that you might use, but before shipping and tax. Okay? Obviously, we don't have tax here in Oregon, however, before your shipping charges. All right, so let's get moving. We're going to go ahead and jump right in. My catalog pre-order consisted of pretty much new in-color items, and it was all paper and ink. I didn't get any stamp sets, any die sets, anything like that. So it's nothing too exciting, and we will be using the new colors in our second project tonight, so you will get to see those. All right, so our featured product this evening is going to be the Springtime Scenes bundle. This is currently available. It was on back order for quite a while, but it's come back in stock, and it still is in stock as of 5 minutes ago. So, unless I missed it. Okay, so this is stamp and die bundle, and the dies are pretty spectacular. I haven't even begun to hit the ceiling on these. And then you've got a 12-piece photopolymer stamp set. So let's go ahead and jump into our project. Our first project is, we have a, oh, there's my envelope. Well, that's crazy. Where's my card base? Okay, well, apparently I put the card base back in the thing when I was cleaning up last night. Silly me. Why I did that, I don't know. But anyway, we have a basic black card base, and this is a standard A2 5.5 by 8.5 and scored in the center at 4 1/4. Okay, then I've got a piece of basic white. And keep in mind, we have basic white and white willow cardstock. White willow comes in 12 by 12, so either will work. It doesn't matter. I've got basic white here, and I've run this through the Ladybug Picnic 3D embossing folder. And forgive me, this is currently unavailable, but it's scheduled to be back in stock the week of April 27th. And if you don't know, Stampin' Up! Now has a notification button for any out of stock items, and you can go in there and check that. When you go in there and check that box, you'll see in the little square there by the email, it'll say manage in stock emails, and if you click on that little button, that will show you everything that's on back order, and you can just go in and put everything that you want to be notified all at once. You don't have to go to each individual item. So if you have any questions about that, please be sure and let me know. Okay, so we've got this piece, and we don't need to do any treatments to this. So we're just going to go ahead and add this to our card base. And I'm using my Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue, which I think is going up in cost again, as it is everywhere. It's not just Stampin' Up! Raising the cost on that. Amazon has raised their Tombow cost significantly. And they actually have been higher than Stampin' Up's price from what I've seen. So, okay, so we've got that. And then from the dies, let's pull those back out. Okay, I've taken and cut this particular die in the two-tone Granny Apple Green. Okay, so I've got that here, and I cut this on the dark side. Okay, from Spotlight on Nature in the two-tone, which you can tell now the difference here. I've cut the second largest of, is it the second largest? No, it's the largest one of this dot and dash circle. And I've cut that on the light side of the Granny Apple Green. Okay. I die cut a lot of things. Out of two-tone Bubble Bath, on the dark side, I cut this label here. And then, let me tell you a funny story about this. On my sample card, I cut this one little die out of the two-tone cardstock, and I did it in on the dark side. And then I realized, after I'd finished my card, that these two dies are meant to go together and layer. Well, because I'd already cut this on the light side, I want this to stand out, so I cut the one that you would normally cut on the light and then put the dark over the top. We're going to do it opposite. We're going to do dark two-tone And then we're going to do light two-tone, just so that that stands out. So I've cut actually 2 of each of those, because I'm going to put one on the inside of the card. Okay. And then I've cut two of the ladybug bodies right here. And this die does double duty. You can either cut the body to build it, or you can cut out this stamped image. This coordinates with the stamped image, and you'll see that on our next project. And then from the bokeh paper, what is it called? Beautiful bokeh, this one, out of the Berry Burst Bubbles. I've cut 2 of these ladybug bodies. Okay, so we've got those. And that is pretty much all of our die cutting until we stamp. Okay, so we can start to put some of these things together. So let's go ahead and put our ladybug bodies together. And we'll add our things. Now, I recommend, and I did not do, I recommend that you actually use the adhesive sheets for this skinny little thing. But I did not. And actually, I'm not going to glue this all the way down. I'm just going to, I want these to hang a little freely. So I'm just really going to put some glue in the center here, and there's some spots here that are plenty wide enough for that. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and glue both of mine at the same time. And with this fine tip glue bottle that my friend gave me, it's so easy. So then I'm going to add this to the top of here. And then get that all lined up. And the liquid glue is going to give me a minute or 2 to make that work. And then I'm just going to press in the center. And then these are going to stick up a little, and that's going to look pretty cool. Okay? So let's do that with our second one. Check. I don't know if anybody's commented or if I need to refresh my screen. Can't really tell. So good to be feeling good again. I was sick from Friday till yesterday. Had a nasty headache every day, but I got up without the headache finally today, so yay! Yay me, winning! Okay, so we've got that. Now let's take and flip over our, oh, before we do that, I want to take, it's easier not to hit the black with your Wink of Stella pen if you do it before you add this to the body. So I'm just going to put a little bit of Wink of Stella on the ladybug's body so it can glisten some. And then I'll flip those over. And we'll just add some little dots of liquid glue here. I must have a little, I should have closed that up in between. I left it open for a time last night and it's still kind of mad at me. Okay, so we've got that. And then we'll add these. to our little ladybug bodies. And isn't that so cute? And I really like it in the Berry Burst. And with this bokeh paper, you have almost an ombre type look. So you've got different shades, so it looks like it's a little different on how the light hits it. Okay, so we've got all those pieces. Now we need to bring in a piece of scrap paper here. And I wanted this to stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to take the dark Granny Apple Green Stampin' Blend. And I'm going to carefully go along this edge. And swipe that. I don't really want to get it on the frame, so I'm being very careful here. And then once I get in here, I don't have to be quite as careful. And I'm just going to add a little bit of extra color. So remember, this is the dark side of the paper. But I still wanted it to be just a bit darker so it really stands out away from the background. Okay. All right, let's see. I'm going to refresh my screen real quick to see if I have any comments that I'm missing, and maybe Facebook is not showing me. Yep, there we go. Thanks for doing the math on that. Oh, you're welcome, Tracy. And Tombow goes another 50 cents. Okay, so there you go. So again, that's probably one of those, I did not do the math on that, but you might want to do the math and find out if it's, you know, less expensive on a free shipping day, and if it really even matters for you to worry about it at this point. Okay, so we've got that. And we've got this. So we're going to add these two pieces together. So let's go ahead and do that now. And again, we're going to use the liquid glue. This is not one of those pieces that I would really recommend that you use the adhesive sheet on, because you're going to have a lot of adhesive sheet waste, in my opinion. And really, the important part to get down is this outside frame itself, and that's pretty easy to put a few little dots of glue on, because Tombow is ... not a lot. Okay, so we're going to take and add this. To our circle, and this fits almost perfectly inside that Spotlight on Nature die. And then I'm going to turn that over. Once I'm happy with how it is, I'm going to hang on to it so it doesn't slip, and then I'm going to use my bone folder to secure that glue. So now we have this piece ready to go. We're going to go ahead and add this. It's going to go on here, and yes, it's going to be lighter, and that's how I want this particular piece. So again, with this one, I want those leaves to be kind of free. So I'm not going to totally glue down the edges. I want it to have a little bit of depth and movement. So I'm just going to stick this about right here. All right. Whoops, be careful. This is very delicate. All right. Now let's go ahead, and we're actually ready to add this to our card base. Oh, please don't run out. I'm getting very close. And I don't know, I might have refilled my other one. Well, if not, I've got Fast Fuse here ready to go. Okay, what did I just do? There they are. Okay, so I'm going to put this about right here. And I probably should have used liquid glue because I just put that down on... Oh, yeah, yep. You know what? It never hurts to add liquid glue too. Especially when it's a 3D. So I'm just going to go back and add a little bit. Then I'll have both. Then I'll really be secure. Then I don't have to worry about it. Okay, we've got that. Now we should really be good. Okay. Now let's go ahead and get our stamping done. This card doesn't have a ton. We're going to stamp on this piece. And we need a scrap piece of basic white here. Okay. And we've got some Memento Tuxedo Black. And I'm going to stamp 3 of these. And I've marked my stamp, so I need to make sure that I remember how I did this so that it lines up with my die. Okay. I need 3 of those for the outside. And then, let's see, did I use any on the inside? Yeah. Oh, yeah, but I stamped him. I just stamped him on the inside. Okay, so we're good there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and color this real quick. And for these, we're going to use Light Berry Burst and Dark Bubble Bath. Okay, so let's start with the Light Berry Burst. And I'm just going to follow these artist lines with the Berry Burst. Okay. And then I'm going to go back with my Bubble Bath. And this is the Dark Bubble Bath. And I'm going to color that in. Okay, and this flower is not symmetrical. And then I would do the other 2. But of course, you guys know, I always like to save you some time, so I've already done that. But let's see where I put those dies. Because of course, you know I buried them. I did want to show you how I did that. Okay, so my stamp, when I stamped it, I stamped it this way with the dot right there like that. Okay, so my dot was pointed this way. I also put a dot on my die, and it's kind of worn off. And then I can just drop that down, and that'll fit perfectly. Run that through my mini die cut machine, and then do the magic of video. I've got 3 of those ready to go. Okay, so we've got that. Now, our last thing that we need for the front of this card is we need our sentiment strip. So we're going to take this Bubble Bath 2-tone piece, and I'm going to put this right there on my silicone mat because that will keep, the silicone mat will keep that in place. And then I'm going to use my embossing buddy. And we're going to get the Versamark ink. Okay. And from that same stamp set, we're going to take Sending Lots of Sunshine, and we're going to ink that up. And I've put this on my Stamp Positioning mini mat there. Mini arm, I guess. Mini plate. I don't know what you call it, because I really like this mini plate. And then I can take and lay this right here. It's not touching my paper. I can line this up how I want it to be. Move that until I'm happy with it. And then I can give it a press. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll lift that up, pull that off, and then we'll bring in my reverse tweezers so I can hold on to that. This comes from the Embossing Editions Toolkit, which is also where the Embossing Buddy comes from. And then I'm just going to dump some black powder on here. This is the Wow embossing powder. And I missed this little corner over here, so we're going to do that. I give that a tap on my tray and check that out. Kind of missed that too, so we're going to turn that over. Oh man, I did that the other day. That kind of makes a mess. All right. Give that a flick. And I've got some strays, so we're going to take a paintbrush in here. That's what happens when you, I should have held on to that and then put it on the mini tweezers, on the reverse tweezers. So I'll just wipe off what I don't want here. Any little specks I see I don't really want. Blow that off. And then we'll heat up the heat tool. And give that a melt. And I like to melt from the bottom up. Okay. I don't have a very good hold on this, actually. Okay, that looks like it's done, so let's give it a quick look. Make sure we got everything melted there. Yep, that looks pretty good, nice and shiny. All right, so this is now ready. Let's get all of this embossing powder out of the way and put away, because I think I need it for the next project too. So I need that again. And my bottle's getting pretty empty. So, okay, so let's bring back in our card. And now we have this. So we're going to take and we're going to, first we're going to add our ladybug here. And we're going to pop her up with some dimensionals. So I'm going to put one up near the head. And yes, you could probably do it with just one, but I don't want sagging, so I'm using two. And then I'm going to stick this about right here. I'm kind of covering up the stem there and there. All right. And then we're going to bring this in and we're going to tuck it under here like so. Okay. So I didn't want to pop it up necessarily, but I've got some differences in levels. So I'm going to put a little bit of seal here in the corner. And then I'm going to use the mini glue dots here, and I'm going to double those, which won't be the height of a glue dot, but it should be enough to be the height of the paper. So it'll just make it look a little more balanced. And the glue dots hold really well against the embossing. So we've got that. We'll add this. Slide that right under our little ladybug there. And we'll give that a little press. And hopefully we're straight. Yeah, not quite. There we go. Let's pop that up. Straighten that up just a bit. Okay. And then we're going to add our flowers. So in order to do that, we're going to bring in our Stampin' Pierce mat. And bring in our Take Your Pick tool. You could use the back of a paintbrush, a pokey tool. Okay. And then we're going to put those on glue dots. Just set them down there. As close to the center as we can. Okay. And then we're going to take our flowers here. We're going to put one over here in this corner. And, oh, I got a glue dot right there on my finger. And then we're going to put one here. And one here. Making sure that we don't cover... Oh, let's move this one a titch. Whoa, come on. Those mini glue dots are pretty strong. I'm going to move that down just a little bit. Like so. Let's get that glue dot off my finger. And then for the final addition for the front, we're going to take the iridescent pearls. And I'm going to take the smallest ones, and I'm just going to stick those in the centers of the flowers. I heard this I heard these called the little black dress of paper crafting here for embellishments. They work with everything. So always good to have on hand. All right, so there is the front of our first card. Got that done. And for the inside, like I said, I would have, this is how I did my first one because I didn't remember that it had this piece. So you can do it either way. I added that second ladybug, some more of that paper, and then stamped the flowers up there in the corner. Okay. And because I don't know why I'm sending lots of sunshine, I left the inside blank, and I will fix that or just write a message when I go to send it. And for those of you who know me, you'd be proud of me. I sent out 3 cards today. Count them, 3. I know. I'm really good about making cards and not sending them. But today I sent 3. Now here is my envelope, and this is from the Address to You. I've used this a lot since it came out. It's a $1 Million Achiever stamp set. I love this. And it's by Sonia Schulte. And I think she's from Germany. And then I stamped my butterfly, and those are leaves from that same set. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that card. I'm going to refresh my screen because for some reason Facebook is not showing me the updated comments. I use the Iridescent Pearls Basic Jewels, Tracy. This bundle is very cute. Wait till you see the next card. Okay, so let's set this one aside. And let's put our memento away so I don't lose it. We'll put these in here. Move this out of the way. Put the color wheel away. All right, and let's grab the bucket for the next one. Okay. So for this one, I decided to use all of the new in colors for my card just to show them to you. And in case you haven't seen them, which I'm sure you have, this is what we have. We have Barely Blush. Okay. Crisp Cantaloupe. Golden Glow. I love this color. Not that I don't love them all. Hydrangea Hue. And Peaceful Pine. Okay. So those are the 4 colors. These are the new ink pads. I have all 5. I'm not going to pull them out. We're not actually using the ink pads today. And this is the difference between the old pad and the new pad. And if you currently have the Stampin' Storage container that is the old style that has the place for the ink bottles and the Stampin' Write markers, which have been discontinued, or even if you bought it when they not with the markers. I think you could have bought it with just the ink bottle ones. But anyway, if you added spacers and you can take your spacers out, these fit absolutely perfectly. The edge sticks out. What I think 1/2 inch is what I measured yesterday, or maybe 3/8 of an inch, which is just enough for you to grab the edge of it, but it doesn't stick out too far. If you have the spacers in and you can't take your spacers out because you glued them in and you can't get them out, your ink pad will stick out about 3/4 of an inch, okay? Which still isn't bad, but they work really well, okay? Oh, let's talk about that new magnetic pad. Sorry about that. So they come with labels on the back. Stampin' Up! Recommends that you, this is how they open. So Stampin' Up! Recommends that you put one on the bottom in the front, okay? And then when you open up the pad, that you put another one here, because you get 2 in English. And then what I did was I also put one back here, okay? But that was in a different language that I can't read, so I used my labeler and made it so I could read it, okay? And these are magnetic, so when you open them up, they just go like that. You can separate them. You can stack them like this, okay? And then you can put them back, and there you go. They also will stack with each other, okay? But if you're going to stack a bunch and you're going to try to open one in the middle, or you're going to try and pull one up in the middle if you've got a stack of 5, this one's going to come undone. So I don't recommend that, okay? I don't recommend trying to pull them or to pick them all up at one time like that, because you're gonna your stamp pad's gonna come apart. That's what happened to me. It didn't fall or anything, but it did come apart. The other stack, part of the stack, stayed on the table. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our our card. So in addition to the springtime scenes, I'm going to be using from the Joyful Squares dies. I'm going to be using this die. I love this die. And we're going to be using the Happy Birthday from Lovely Arrangements. Just because the sentiments that were in springtime scenes didn't fit what I wanted to do. Okay? So you could pick anything. Any that you want. From the Textured Notes dies, we're using the third largest, which is this one. And I have cut this out of the Wood Grain Wonders Designer Series paper. So I've done that ahead of time. So we've got that cut. And this is the, I used the lighter shade. Okay. From the, let me grab this stuff here real quick. Okay, so this is the Wood Grain, I think it's called Wood Grain Wonders. Wood Grain Wonders, DSP. I've used this in the past, so I'm not going to go through that. I've got the 26 to 28 in color two-tone cardstock, and we're going to use that tonight. And I've already showed you all those colors, but I guess I should show you the two tones. That would be a good thing, because you don't know what the two tones look like, do you? Okay, so we've got Golden Glow, Peaceful Pine. There's the two sides of that. I'll get to this Golden Glow two sides in a minute. We've got Barely Blush, and those are the two sides for that. Crisp Cantaloupe, Light and Dark. And then here's the Golden Glow, Light and Dark. And, okay, let me get, I've kind of got a mess of this paper because I cut it up. And that doesn't make it easy to work with. Okay, and then we've got Hydrangea Hue. Okay, and that should be it, right? Oh, there's another Peaceful Pine. All right, but I had two pieces of that because I had already cut it. All right, so let's put that back in its container. And I think I've already cut everything, so we should be good. I wouldn't have to fiddle with all these little pieces that I already have cut out. Okay, and of course I'm keeping every little piece because what I did was I bought this is the, this is called Heirloom Boutique 12 by 12 two-tone cardstock, and in this you get 2 each of the 5 new in colors and 2 pieces of the White Willow cardstock. In case you don't need whole packages, this is the only way to get a variety pack. Okay, and that's Heirloom Boutique. Okay, then we're also going to be using, Stampin' Up! Has brought out, they always have pattern paper in all the color collections. This year it's 12 by 12 and not 6 by 6. So we're going to be using that paper. And you get two each of 2 double-sided designs in this pack. So this is the front and back of the Peaceful Pine dot, just because I've got it right here and I don't want to mess with it. This one's really hard to see because this is Barely Blush. And this is the front and, yeah, this is the front and back of this. So you've got this stripe. You know what? There's Barely Blush. I'll show you better on the other colors because the Barely Blush is really barely. All right, and then you've got little dots and big dots. And of course you get that in each of the colors. So there's the Crisp Cantaloupe in the dots. Now you can see the stripes a lot better, front and back. Okay. And really, so you get 1 sheet each of the, no, you get 2 sheets each of the designs. for 20 sheets total. And this pack of paper is a little bit more spendy because you're getting 20 sheets of 12 by 12. And normally in a pack of Designer Series paper, you get 12 sheets. Okay. So just be aware of that. It comes in all of the color collections except the 24 to 26 in colors. Those are staying in the 6x6 pack from this past year. Okay? So there are all the colors now. You've seen those. Okay. Oh, nope, you didn't see the Peaceful Pine in the other. There we go. In the other stripe. Okay? All right, so that's that pack of paper, and we're going to be using this, a little piece of this. Let's get this put away before I make a disaster. Get these put in here. All right, there we go. And then we'll grab these. All right. And now you've pretty much seen my pre-order except for the other in color package of DSP, which I'll show you if I remember at the end. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be using that. This is called Painted Patterns, and this is 26 to 28 in color painted patterns. And this is 4 by 5 1/4. I also have a 1/2 inch strip that I've got for the inside of my card. Okay. This card is mostly stamping and die cutting. So let's go ahead and get on that. And I want to do just a little bit of a comparison for you between the Memento Tuxedo Black and the new hybrid ink that I'm sure you've heard is coming. Okay. I did get that. I'm going to tell you right up front, the jury is out on whether you really need it or not. I don't know that I'm super, super impressed, and you'll see why in a minute. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to stamp. This is basic white. This is the hybrid basic black. Okay. I'm going to start with Memento. Okay, so we're going to start with Memento. And because I have my Memento in this foam ink pad, I really, really, really like Memento. Okay, so we're going to take the Ladybug from the Springtime Scenes, and we're going to stamp that in Memento. And then I'm going to stamp the leaf. And for this project, you need 4 ladybugs and 3 of these big leaves. Okay? So I'm going to stamp one of each. Okay, now this one is Memento. All right. Now this is basic white again. I should have wet my pad here. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to spray a little bit of water on there. I'm going to clean that just so we've got a clean stamp to start with to compare. Okay. Make sure that's dry. Dry that off with my hand. Now to open this basic black hybrid ink pad, Stampin' Up! Recommends that you open it like a book. Okay. The one thing you'll notice right away is that this is real tight. It's supposed to be that way. It has a well in the bottom. So we'll open this up. Okay. Put this down here. And if you the regular Memento pad, if you twist and you tap, I tried that with this one, and then you get a little bit too much ink. So you got to tap, 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 and hold that, okay? So you've got to give it a little bit of force or you will not get a complete image. And I was not very successful on a hard surface. Okay. So I don't know if you can see that, but this one is not quite solid on the hard surface. So, the other thing with this hybrid, you're supposed to be able to color with the blends and watercolor with it. It will stain your stamps. So you want to take your Stampin' Mist right away and spray that. Let it sit for a second. And then clean it. And Stampin' Up! Recommends that you clean it right away. The faster you clean it, the less staining you'll have. But as you can tell, mine is pretty stained already. Okay, but I used it. Okay, so here now we have, this is the Memento, and this is the hybrid. Hybrid ink you must let dry completely before you use your blends or watercolor. Okay? You can't just stamp and go, because if you do, it's going to bleed. So I recommend, if you're impatient like me, that you take your heat tool on the dry setting, number 2, which is the low setting, and heat that up. Okay, now I'm going to do the same with my Memento, because I have found that if you do this with Memento, it doesn't tend to bleed either. Okay, and now we're going to do a little bit of coloring with the new In Color markers. Okay, everybody with me so far? I'm going to refresh my screen so I can see if there's been any comments. Okay, they do open super easy, Tracy. And thank you guys. I'm glad you love that card. Okay, they open super, super easy. There's no fussing at all. Okay, so let's get this out of the way, and let's bring in our blends. Okay, so we've got these. Now, I'm going to start with the Memento, and that's going to give my hybrid more time to dry. And I'm going to start with the Dark Peaceful Pine. And I'm just going to follow these lines. Now remember, for this card, you need 3 of these. Okay. Mine are already colored and die cut, just so you know. Because, you know, I'm all about trying to save a little bit of time. Because I know your time is valuable. And I appreciate you watching. So, let's go ahead and fill this in. Remember, when you're using your blends, you're using the side of the brush if you're using the brush. And then remember to rotate. That will keep your brush tip nicer for longer. Okay, so we've got that. Now, we've got absolutely no bleeding on my Memento. Okay, so I've got that. Now let's, lightest colors are the ones that tend to bleed the most. So let's compare Barely Blush in both inks. So I'm going to start with the light. and color these bodies. I'm going to color that in. Okay, then I'm going to go to the dark Barely Blush, and I'm going to throw in a little bit of dark around the edges here, just to give that a rounded look. All right, then I'm going to come in with my dark smoky slate, and I'm going to add a little, I'm going to fill in that head, and I'm going to fill in right here along those artist lines. And then I'm going to come back with the light basic black. I'm going to add in a little bit of basic black there, and then I'm going to fill in the rest of this white here. And then we're going to add basic black in the dots. Okay. All right, so we've got that. And then I'm going to go back with the dark smoky slate, and I'm just going to fill that in and blend. Okay? So there is our first one, and this, remember, is the Memento. All right? Now, right away, while that's still nice and wet, because if there's going to be any bleeding, it's going to be now, I'm going to go in and take my Wink of Stella, and I'm going to add this because it has more alcohol, and if it's going to bleed, it's going to bleed now. Okay? So we've got that. All right, let's set that aside for a moment, and let's repeat that over here, but not on this one because I kind of messed up that stamping there. Okay? And we want to have apples to apples. So let's take the Barely Blush again. And we're going to color this in, because this should be plenty dry enough now. Now, if you come at this right away with this light color without letting this sit, I assure you it will bleed. You will have smearing. And ask me how I know that. Okay, so again, we're going to take the smoky slate, and we're going to do that. And then I'm going to go back with the basic black. Oh, I didn't fill that in all the way like I should have. It's okay. It's okay. And we'll do that. Okay, I went out of the lines a little bit there. Okay, so there we have that. Now let's grab that Wink of Stella right away. And let's add our Wink of Stella and check that out. Okay, so there you go. All right, now for this particular card, you need one ladybug in Barely Blush, Golden Glow, Hydrangea Hue, and Crisp Cantaloupe. Okay, you would color all of those, and then there are dies to cut that out. But that is my honest comparison between the Hybrid Black and the Memento. So it is totally up to you. Do you need the new Hybrid Black? If you do a lot of watercoloring, you might want it. If you don't, and you love your Memento, you might want to stick with Memento. Okay, so let's go ahead and start putting our card together. So we've got a card base in basic white, and this card base is 4 1/4 by 11, and I've scored that in half at 5 1/2. We're going to burnish that. This is going to be a landscape card, and I want it to sit like this. Okay, that's why we're doing 4 1/4 by 11, which they call hot dog style. Then we're going to take our piece of, oh, and I told you this was 4 by 5 1/4. That is not 4 by 5 1/4. This is 3 1/2 by 5 1/2. That's what size this is, 3 1/2 by 5 1/2, and we're going to add this to our card, and we're going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually let's lay this like this. It'll be easier for me, I think. I'm just going to center this up as best I can. And it's okay if it's off center a little bit. Nobody cares. And nobody's going to know that that's not what you intended. Try and center that there. I don't want any white at the back. So let's set that down and see what we have. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now, let's see, I've got a little bit sticking over the end here. So I'm going to go ahead, take my scissors. It's just ever so slightly. Ever so slightly. Okay. That looks okay. Yep, we're going to be happy with that. Okay. So we've got that. Then we're going to take and we're going to work with this piece here. So we're going to, like I told you, you needed 3 of those large leaves that I've die cut. And then I've got a ladybug in hydrangea hue that I colored just like I showed you. 1 in crisp cantaloupe, barely blush, and golden glow. Love that color. And then the last piece that we need for this card is that little die cut from Joyful Squares. And we're going to put the sentiment on this, but we're going to do that once we have everything put, the rest of this put together. So I colored these exactly like I showed you, and I put the Wink of Stella on them. We're going to take our leaves, and we're going to put one down here. Whoops. Well, it doesn't matter. I forgot to color that, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to tuck this under here, and you're not going to know I didn't color that, right? I'm going to tuck it kind of like that, and then I'm going to take this one, and I actually like this one better. I like how I cut this one better, so I'm going to use this one down here, like so, and then I'm going to put this one up here kind of like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put those down because I'm happy with that. But wait a minute, don't get in too big a hurry, because what we want to do is give these a little bit of roundness with our bone folder. And then I'm going to take, oh, it's right here in front of my face. I'm going to put a little bit of seal. And I'm going to add that in about like that. Okay? That's going to be rounded. Then we're going to move on to this one. And I'm going to do the same thing. Round that up a little bit. Give it some texture and definition. And then I'm only putting my seal in the middle because I don't want to take that roundness out. Okay. And then finally, we'll do this one. That's just my silicone mat there. Okay, let's see if this will work. There we go. Usually I just roll that on my silicone mat. Okay, so now we've got this. I need to get my fingers out of the way here so I can see about what I want. Okay, I want that to go about like that. Okay, round that up a bit. Then we're going to take our little ladybugs here. And what we're going to do with these is we're going to round these down. I wanted to give their bodies a little bit of rounding so they looked a little more real. So I rounded the leaves up, and I'm rounding my ladybugs down. Okay. And then we're going to get some dimensionals. And these are not going to take... Actually, I'm going to use minis on this. So let's grab our minis. And we're going to do... Pop his head. We're going to do this. And I'm going to put these ones closer to the front. And leave his bum solid. And I'm going to slip him in here between these two leaves. And now you know why I didn't put any glue at the back. Okay? Or why I didn't put any dimensionals back there. Okay. So then we're going to take this one. And this one, we're going to put our dimensionals more on the side of this one, but not too far to the side. A little off to the right of center. And we're going to put this one like so. Okay. And this one doesn't matter because we're going to stick him right in the middle of the leaf. So I'm going to put his right in the middle. Oh, well, it would be good if we left it on the paper. Always good to leave it on the paper. Let's give that a good press. There we go. And then we'll put this bug more like this. And then this guy, we're going to, again, his is going to go more on his head. I pulled the top off without and left the dimensional. And less toward the back. And we're going to do that. And we're going to put him like he's walking away here. Okay. All right. So this is ready now to add to our card. And when we add it, we're going to we need to be cognizant of this bottom part. We do not want to glue all the way to the bottom here. And you'll see why in just a minute. Okay, so I'm going to put some glue there and glue here. And I'm going to leave this section open down here in the bottom right. And then I'm going to add this to my card. Center that up as best I can. I've got 1, 2, 3 rows of dots, 1, 2, 3 rows of dots. Let's try and line that up so it's pretty even. And I think we can be happy with that. Okay, now let's go ahead and do our sentiment, and this card is almost done. So we're going to bring back in the silicone mat, which I set clear over there. Okay, and again, I'm going to put this down. And this comes from Lovely Arrangements, we're going to take the Versamark. I'm not going to forget my embossing buddy. This is the light side of the Golden Glow two-tone. And this again came from Joyful Squares. I'm going to ink up Happy Birthday here. Okay, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not pushing that hard because it's a delicate die. And I don't want to distort the lettering. I'm going to bring back in my, I don't know why I picked that up yet because I didn't have this open. Okay, this is very, very close, so you have to be very careful when you pick it up. And then we're going to pour on the powder. Give that a tap. Okay. I'm actually going to pour a second coat on just to make sure that I've got plenty here. Give it a little blow. Got a little bit of speckles here where I don't want them. So I'm going to bring back in a paintbrush. And I'm going to very carefully cat just scared me. Got one digging in the closet. Okay. And I'm going to take and heat this up, heat set it. With the heat tool. Okay, that looks like it could use just a second more there in the middle. All right, that's good. We're ready for that. Let's go ahead and set that aside now. I'm going to put the cap back on my embossing powder and set my embossing powder way away so I don't bump it and make a mess. Okay, so now we're going to take our Happy Birthday here. And I'm going to put the tiniest bit of glue right up here. Actually, I'm going to put my glue on the back. I'm just going to put some glue on the back here. Figure out where I set my tweezers down at, for goodness sakes. I had them just a second ago. Oh, here they are. Here they are. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to slide it up underneath that section. Kind of like that. Okay. There's our sentiment. And then for the final touch on the outside of this card, we need those ladybug. How did they get out of my bucket? Oh my goodness. What did I do with those? They gotta be right here. I had them in the bucket. How do I lose stuff so fast? Oh, here they are, right here in my hand. All right, so I've got the Ladybug Garden Epoxy Shapes. These are also out of stock, but they're due back in on 4/27. So head on over to my website, put yourself on the notification list if you want them and you don't already have them. And I am going to use the little, I call them the dewdrops from here. I'm going to take one of these larger ones here. And I'm going to put this about right here. And then I'm going to take a smaller one and put up there. And then I'm going to take another larger one. And I'm going to set that down here. And it might be really hard for you to see those, but in person it looks pretty cool. And I was worried about whether you could see them, but when I showed my card to Caitlin last night, she goes, "Oh my gosh, I love those raindrops." So in person, you can see them. And when I'm happy with my placement, then I like to take my Take Your Pick tool and give those a little press. Okay, so for the inside of this card, I took a 1/2-inch strip of that same paper. This particular leaf is Peaceful Pine, and it also came from the Springtime Scenes. And then I took a Golden Glow bug, and this is one that's made directly with the dies. Okay, so with the first card, or with these, we used that one die to cut. Well, we did this with the first card. We used these 2 pieces. So that's exactly what I did here. And then just to show you, this is the same piece that cuts out those bugs. Okay, so this one does double duty. All right, and I haven't even scratched the surface with this bundle, but I hope you really like those cards. Let's find my Stampin' Seal right in front of my nose. Add this to the inside of our card. Sorry, I ran a little long going through the hybrid ink comparison, but I really wanted you guys to have that. Okay, and then to finish that off, I took that same leaf from the inside and those flowers, and I just stamped them in the ink, in the black ink, and decided I didn't really have to color them. So there's my second card. I hope you like those cards tonight. Let's bring back in the first card. So these are our projects. I hope you like those. I'm not sure how to put them in the scene here so you get them both. But there you go. All right, let me take one last refresh on the comments and see. Ah, great. Those ladybugs are really cute. Yes, they are. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate all the wonderful, kind comments. And I will see you back here on Thursday night on YouTube. Not here on Facebook, but Thursday night on YouTube at 7. And then I'll be back again next week on Tuesday night right here on Facebook at 7 p.m. And we'll do some more tutorials. Thank you so much for joining me. And happy Easter if I don't see you on Thursday. Good night, everybody.